What's going on, everyone? Yesterday's game was a disaster from start to finish, and nobody really looked good on the Lakers outside of like Walker and LeBron James. I mean, Anthony Davis kind of filled the stat sheets, but he wasn't Anthony Davis. It was a very quiet type of thing. But one of the biggest things that stood out beyond just the play of the Lakers in general was a huddle moment where Patrick Beverley was trying to kind of rally the troops when the Lakers were kind of making a little push, a little run at the beginning of the third quarter to try to get back into the game, and Patrick Beverley was trying to rally and get Russell Westbrook over. And this became a huge point of topic. And look, I have been a big Russ defender. I have talked very highly about Russ and just what I've seen so far and maybe the potential. Now, I don't know if Russ is going to work. I don't know if Russ is going to be good this year, bad this year, or somewhere in between, maybe neutral. I don't know. And we haven't seen a regular season game yet to really give a proper example. We've had some moments where he looks great and he looks like he's buying in and fully bought in and just playing the role that they want him to play. And then other times it looks a little weird, a little clunky. But I'm willing to give him a chance to prove, and I do think he has made sacrifices and changes and is buying in with the system and what is being asked of him. But a big thing that's going to go into the Lakers season is chemistry, right? And just building that relationship and those bonds and things like that. So, of course, when you have a guy like Russ and his attitude, that is a big red flag for a team like the Lakers and any team in general, and you're trying to see and have him fully bought in. When something like this doesn't happen and Russ ends up just kind of spurning the huddle where you're just trying to kind of rally your troops for a moment to kind of get things on track, and Russ decides not to show up, it's just a really bad look. And you see Patrick Beverley trying to flag him down. You see Anthony Davis start walking over to him, and then Russ comes over and just kind of stands there rather than joining the huddle. Now, if I'm going to be fair and I'm going to, praise Russ for things that he's done right, I also, in the same breath, need to be able to criticize him when he does things wrong and does things that he shouldn't do. When he's bad, and when he's good. And I believe in just fairness across the board with that. But one thing I do want to point out is that Russ was talking with a ref during that time. So it wasn't like Russ was just standing there and just completely ignoring everybody. He actually was, in conversation with the ref at that moment and then decided to come over. But when he did come over, that's the problem I have. Now, look, you can make the argument it's preseason. Russ shouldn't be arguing with the refs. He should be going over and getting in the huddle, things like that. I can understand that. But come on, it's still, you're trying to communicate with the refs, trying to establish stuff. These refs you're going to see again at other points during the actual regular season. That I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with him talking with the refs and just kind of pointing stuff out and just kind of, having things for the refs to kind of keep in their back pocket, so to speak, for next time they ref Russell Westbrook in a game, right? I understand that many players do things like that. And I don't have a problem with him sort of lagging behind because of that to the huddle. But what I do have a problem with is when he gets to the huddle and he gets over there, he does this. He puts his hands on his knees and just, again, kind of ignores everybody. That I don't think is appropriate behavior. That I don't think is something that we need to see from Russell Westbrook. What he should have done is he should have ran over to his guys, got into the huddle real quick, and, just, hey, like, it's all good, like, da-da-da, and let Patrick Beverley say what he wanted to say. Whether Russ really believed it or really cared for it or not, it's not the point. The point is that you're a team, and you are part of that team, and you are a unit out there on the floor, and everybody in that unit is coming together to have a brief discussion. You get in it. Even if he just, like, ran up and then they started breaking up, okay, at least you saw the effort. Okay, he ran over, he wrapped around guys, and then they kind of were already done with the huddle talk or the whistle blew or something like that, and he had to pull away. Okay, cool. I would have been fine with that. Or if, he would have sprinted over and, just embraced everybody, got into the huddle, and then just like a quick, okay, cool, and then just kind of walked away, and then maybe did the whole hands on the knees thing. I would have been okay with that. But the fact that, he comes over and then just kind of completely ignores everybody and everyone's just kind of like, okay, whatever, it's not a good positive sign. That's not something you want to see. And look, I know that this is going to get just insanely blown up and amplified, and I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, but I do think it's a potential warning sign, and it's a potential issue that could be on the arise, right? If this is kind of the behavior that Russ has and displays, that's not what we need with this team. It's not. Now, I do think he has improved his play and sacrificed and done a lot so far. Even that game, he didn't really, he had the two careless, dead ball turnovers where he just kind of stepped on the line. But he only had one live game turnover, which just is good. I mean, you don't want any turnovers, but that's good. The two on the, on the line was bad, but like several players did that last night. So I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was just a bad night or what, but in general, I thought he was still fighting over screens. He's not going to be a perfect defender. He's not. He's never going to be a perfect defender because he never really played defense. But the fact that he's at least trying to play defense and fighting over screens and doing closeouts and, running towards shooters and stuff, which we saw even last night. There was one where he literally sprinted like across the floor and created the closeout, and the guy ended up missing the shot. And I was like, good closeout, Russ, like in real time. I was like, wow, like there we go. That's what we need to see, stuff like that. And so he's doing those things. He's setting screens. He's doing a lot of stuff that is really good and positive that you want to see. And hopefully he continues to buy in and he continues to progress in those areas. It's not going to be a perfect thing, but we got Russ, right? And this is something that is a big question. Can he buy in? And I do like what we're seeing from Russ as far as play goes. Even in this game, like he wasn't really forcing things. He was going downhill 3-on-1s. Usually Russ just tries to attack those three guys and just get a shot up, but instead slowed it down, let the offense catch up, things like that. Like, I liked seeing him kind of play in control, and he wasn't taking shots, just take shots. He only took 3 shots. Now, obviously, we want him to be a little more aggressive, things like that, but I do like some things that we have seen. But stuff like this is the things that I don't want to see, and it makes it hard to defend him when he does stuff like this. And I've been somebody that has been very defensive of Russell Westbrook because I still think he is an incredible player and talent. And I do think in the right situation, he can be a very good and effective player. I just think that it's a little clunky fit-wise with the Lakers. Not the greatest fit there is, but I do think it's possible to make it work. And if it does work, I think the Lakers can be very scary. I think the Lakers can be very good as a team goes. If you can get the big three to work in any capacity, then you legitimately have a legit big three, and you have 3 guys that can just completely take over games if need be. And I want to see Russ be effective. I want to see Russ be efficient. I want to see Russ be good. And I do like a lot that I've seen from him. But I don't want to see him start fading into bad habits and bad attitudes and things like that. And it's hard to, he's going to have moments. He's going to have games. He might even have several games, things like that. Like, you're going to get the bad with the good. And I'm okay with riding through some of the bad as long as a majority of it is the good, right? But this is not a good look. And because of Russell Westbrook and the fit and everything that goes into it, this is going to get amplified tenfold because it's Russell Westbrook and because it's the Lakers and because of the, lack of fit, things like that. It becomes a real issue. And again, if Russ would have ran over, even if he didn't really if he was just kind of half-assed in the huddle, at least, he came in and after the conversation, finish the conversation, run over, right? You were able to run over, and instead of immediately jumping in the huddle with guys, you decided to stand away from guys. That I don't think that that's a good look, and I don't, condone that. You are a part of this team. You're trying to prove that you are a part of this team. You're trying to prove that you're willing to sacrifice and do all these things. And I understand you're frustrated. You're not playing great. The team isn't playing great, stuff like that. But you had a real moment to maybe establish a comeback to a degree and start looking good and really try to just put together a run and try to kind of rally the troops for a moment. And it's a moment of your time that would have been, even if nothing came of it, at least you were a part of it. And at least the conversation could have been, hey, he was a part of that. He ran to the huddle. He was part of the huddle. He did that. He was late because he was talking to a ref. But if you don't do those things, there's no defense for you. There's nothing that can make it shine in a brighter light, so to speak. And I just think that Russ, he's really got to commit. And again, I'm operating on the idea of I don't know. There is a lot of people that are operating on the idea of they know for a fact. And I don't think you can say for a fact how this season's going to go with Russell Westbrook. Now, you can have an idea, you can have an opinion, you can have a thought, but I don't think anything you can 100% wholeheartedly say for a fact. Now, you might feel you do, and you may be right? You may be spot on, but just because you guess something right doesn't mean that you were right in your assumption. There are lots of things that people say or do or whatever that turn out to be right, and that doesn't mean that they actually knew that was going to happen. It just means that they, lucky guess, or it was an odd that was in their favor, stuff like that. And I do think that it is very possible that it's more likely that it just doesn't work than it does. But we haven't even seen a gameplay. We've seen Russ actually make sacrifices and do all the things that have been asked of him. And I think that there's a lot of positives. I think there are a lot of things that are really good about Russell Westbrook that he's trying to do and build on. And I'm willing to support that because that's what we got right now. Now, obviously, if a deal comes along that is great and it's worth taking, then do it. Absolutely do it. But I do think that Russ gets scapegoated a lot. I think a lot of people really just, anytime anything's bad with the Lakers, it's Russell Westbrook's fault, even when it's not. Like this game last night was not Russell Westbrook's fault. The entire team was terrible, and Russ had some bright spots, had some bright moments, but in general, he played bad just as everyone else did. If everyone played great, but Russ didn't, then you have an argument, but that wasn't the case here. But I as much as I don't agree with a lot of people's opinions and takes on Russell Westbrook, when he does stuff like this, it makes it really hard to stick up for him and just kind of say like, oh yeah, no, he's changed, he's different. That, it makes it hard. It makes it really tough because, I want Russ to work primarily because he's on the team and there's not really many options right now. Now, if an option comes up and ends up, appearing, then great, cool, do it. Like I said, but there's not really anything. And the best option right now currently is Russell Westbrook. So I want to support my team. I want to support the players. I want to believe that he can do what he wants to do. We've seen him make progress and do some of those things, and I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But one way to kind of lose that benefit of the doubt is to do what he did yesterday and not getting into the huddle. Like I said, it would have taken no effort for him to just jump into the huddle after his conversation, jump into the huddle and all that stuff, instead of just coming and standing to the side of it with your hands on your knees and just kind of letting it be that. I don't agree or condone like what he did. I just think it was unnecessary. It was silly. And it was a bad look for Russell Westbrook. And, again, I try my best to be fair. I stick up for Russ a lot. I defend Russ a lot. But when he does things bad, and throughout this season, if he does things bad, however many games he plays, whether he plays the whole season or partial season or whatever, if he does things good, I will praise him for those things he did good. But if he does things bad, I will, talk about the things that he did bad. I'm not so stubborn in believing that Russ is going to be great that I can't acknowledge the things that are bad and things that aren't working. But it needs to be fair across the board is my point. With everybody, you can't just only look at the negatives and not look at the positives. And you can't look at just the positives and not the negatives. So, he did something negative. He did something that was bad, and I think it was worth a conversation. But anyway, those are my thoughts and opinions. And as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comment section below. What do you think of this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think it's a big deal? Do you think it's not? However you feel, good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between, let me know.